What up, though? One Pride. This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, a podcast where one pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ryan McCluskey, which can only mean one thing. It is time for your weekly dose of college knowledge. Yes, it is the college football podcast, front and centre. And Ryan, I don't know about you, but I'm ready for this heat wave to end over here. You know, I love coming on here talking college ball, but my God, it's been brutal. Nice to get away from it, starting to cool down a bit, but how are you holding up to the heat?
Yeah, I was glad when it rained last days, and I looked at the weather this week and thought maybe showers, thunderstorms, like music to my ears. Like I said, I was glad to just walk to the rain. Yeah, in the yesterday office, just walk down in the rain, and I was so happy.
Yeah.
So, but I said I was smiling, and everyone looked at me like I was probably a bit insane.
Yeah, exactly. You know, at this point of year, usually it is all beautiful green over here in the UK, but it feels like yellow over here. It's been terrible. I've had like 2 or 3 days of good rain in the last 3 months, which is unheard of. But anywho, weather aside, as I say, we are here for your weekly dose of college football knowledge. And this week we are going to be taking a look at one of the most underrated positions, I think, in an entire NFL roster. We're going to give some love to centres this week. I think it was Perry Ball who asked us last week during the chat, or on one of the shows, to do something about prospective centre prospects in the 2026 NFL draft. Obviously, the Lions may or may not, depending on what they do with Tate Ratledge, be in need of one next year, or at least a guy who can play there, has some interior on, have some versatility on that interior. So we're going to let you know about some of the best prospects or future emerging prospects in this class here, because it's very, very intriguing class. We've just been mentioned. A lot of these guys we're going to be talking about are true juniors, redshirt juniors. They're young. Maybe you've not got the most snaps in the book, but they are hella talented, and this could be a class to really watch going into next year. So, we're going to shine a light on them and give them the love they deserve. We've got some, news to go through as well, some other bits and bobs. And as always, if you've got any questions as the show goes on, just put them in the comments with us. We are live this week. This isn't a premiere or anything, so you can ask us what you like as we're going, and hopefully everything holds up on my end here. So let's just get the housekeeping out of the way first, and then we'll break down everything we've got this week. So the Roar Lions UK Discord, if you want in, let us know. We will fire you across the link for that one there. Main podcast was live again this week. We did sort of a regular Q&A on Monday. Got through an absolute ton of stuff. It was good fun. A lot of you joined us for that and posed your questions to us. If you've not had a chance to go and see it yet, do go and check that out. And we will be back to regular Mondays from now on. I know Matt is in the final rehab stage from his Glastonbury tours. He's doing a lot of work this week, but he should be good to go again in the near future. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. Your support really means the world to us. We do appreciate every single one of you. We are a part of Lions Nation Unite as well, so if you want to support Herman Moore and his project to bring together a whole host of Lions content creators into one forum to talk everything Lions, please do so. We're an affiliate on Twitch, we're monetized on YouTube, we've got a tip jar, all that stuff, so if you want to help us that way, great. But first and foremost, we love just chatting ball with you, be it Lions or college, and we've got the feedback form as well, so any feedback about the shows, just fill that bad boy in and we shall take that all on board. Right, got all those little bits out the way. Brent DeWitt is in the chat. He goes, Centre of Attention. Oh, God damn, that might have been a better title for this. It's all military things. So hope you're doing well, Brent, and Army feature in today's episode. So, good to have you in the building as always. I say, if you have any questions as the evening goes on, Brent, let us know. We will always answer those. Right, let's go into the news. First bit of news, we talked about this last week. We expected it to happen, but Conference Realignment. Once again, you can't go 1 week without talking about this stuff. Pac-12, as we mentioned, was looking for an 8th football member. The betting favourite was the Texas State Bobcats. We did talk about it, and I think literally a day after we did our last show, it was made official. Texas State are going to be moving to the Pac-12, and as expected, the announcement was made quick because their buyout from the Sun Belt was $5 million. Would have been $10 million after July the 1st. So Pac-12 obviously not wanting to pay double the amount for them, got it done quick. As far as Texas State go, put a lot of money into the program recently. $150 million has gone into its infrastructure in the last 3 years alone. I think they have been making preparations to move up to the Power 5 anyhow. And now they're going to get the chance to shine on a bigger stage, Ryan. And of course, you've got a hella talented young coach there in GJ Kinney, who's also going to get a chance to make his mark on the Power 5. This is a team coming up who have got a lot of bark, but they've got a lot of bite to go with it, and they're going to get a bite at the Pac-12 now.
Yeah, it's a good ad. It hurts the Sun Belt. Like you say, the Sun Belt is going to have to find an adequate replacement. It's a team that's had a top 20 offense in the last 2-3 years, especially through the air and on the ground. They've been very potent, had good players at the quarterback position, recruited well. Nice stadium, good attendances, a strong fan base. They've had some good entertaining games against the Power 4 teams in recent years and shown that they're not so easily pushed around when push comes to shove. So instantly, Pac-12 straight away looking very competitive on paper. Its inaugural season will be very interesting to see how it pans out. But yeah, it's a good bet. Like I say, you get them at half the price and they should make a good addition to a conference that's looking pretty interesting so far. And geographically as well, it's pretty well. There's going to be a lot less travelling in this new look Pac-12 than some of the big conferences have, like the Big 12, like say the SEC. Like say, if you're looking, it's all kind of like say northwest. Like say, it's looking like it's quite regionally well based so far. So they've done a good job so far.
And now the fertile recruiting ground that is Texas, where they are as well, might induce some prospects to come now with the prospect of technically Power 5 ball, so we'll see how it does for them, but no doubt they've got the money spent on this, they've got the coach ready to go for it, so we look forward to seeing Texas State in the Pac-12, and now the Pac-12 can officially call itself a Power 5 conference, as it has met the minimum 8-team threshold required to become one. Maybe they might have more beforehand, but they are at the bare minimum at this point in time. So Texas State going to the Pac-12, and as a result of this, as I mentioned, the Sun Belt one team down. Well, the Sun Belt have already found their replacement. I think they had this in the wings just in case it was going to happen. They've poached the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs from the CUSA. Both these moves will be official in 2026. Now, obviously, this puts plenty of in-state rivalries on the board for the Sun Belt now. You've already got the Louisiana Raging Cajuns and the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks in the conference. Now you're putting the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs in there as well, so you've got a three-way of Louisiana-based teams right off the bat, Ryan. And obviously then the CUSA, they're going to lose two teams next year. UTEP are off to the Mountain West. Louisiana Tech are now off to the Sun Belt. They are going to go to a 10-team roster. They have no plans to make any more additions yet, although you would figure now they'll probably go and try to raid the FCS again for the next team coming up. But Louisiana Tech off to the Sun Belt, Ryan. Like I say, you've got a hotbed of Louisiana teams in there. Now, if anything, you'll get a lot of good rivalry games out of this with them all in tow.
Yeah, like I said, they're going to be fighting over players in state. They're going to be scrapping each other on the face. There's going to be some, I imagine, heated contests. I imagine we're going to see a lot of flags thrown in some of those games. A lot of these guys have not had their chance to square up against one another for a while. So yeah, I think 10 teams is the perfect number. Like I say, and then with the teams losing conferences, it's another opportunity as well. I've got to feel like it's going to be Sac State is going to take one of those vacancies next year. It's just a natural showing now that this realignment and let's say the Power 5 just leaves the door open for them. Everyone knows they want them. Everyone knows they've got the money. Everyone knows they're ready to come up now, so they'll probably start the preparations. Because like I said, they're wavering that, and even if they appeal it, it's not happening. Everyone's accepted by now. You ain't playing 2025 FBS football. It's too late in the day. So yeah, someone's going to get a good ad if they're able to add them early next year.
Yep. So yeah, that is everything in regards to the realignment moves this week. I don't think there's anything else as it stands. There may be a few more in the works, but you'll have to wait till next year now because buyouts have just gone up, etc. But yeah, Louisiana Tech off to the Sun Belt and Texas State off to the Pac-12. Other news this week regarding BYU this time, the starting quarterback Jake Retzlaff will be transferring away from the school in anticipation of a 7-game suspension coming his way for a breach of the BYU honor code. He was under investigation for a potential charge of sexual assault back in 2023, I believe. It was a civil case which, since his decision to transfer has been withdrawn, it is believed the two parties have settled away from court. However, for Retzlaff, that doesn't really make much difference to him because engaging in premarital sex is a violation of the BYU honor code. The Latter-day Saints, they're notoriously strict when it comes to the issue of sex outside marriage. Jamal Williams, back in the day, got a full season ban from the team for being just found with a girl in his dorm, and they suspended him for the year, so it is really a zero tolerance policy there. But with this being Retzlaff's final season of eligibility, a 7-game suspension would essentially kill his season. So he's making one final attempt to get to a team in need of a starting QB so he can make some form of an attempt to get to the 2026 NFL draft and put more tape in the bank, as it were. So he's not got a new team as of yet. I believe he has an agreement in place. He's not said where he's going, but a team has reached out to him. As it pertains to BYU now, they've got a conundrum. They need a new quarterback. The quarterback's on roster, and you'll know a couple of the names because these are younger brothers of players who've played in college already. You've got Bear Backmeyer there, you've got Trayson Bourget there, and then you've got McKay Hillstead. McKay Hillstead transferred in from Utah State. Trayson Bourget transferred in from Western Michigan. Bear Backmeyer transferred in from Stanford. So, right, BYU have a problem at quarterback going into next year now. For Retzlaff, you can understand why he's moved. You know, that suspension that will come his way regardless of what happened in court will kill his final season, and he needs starting preparation there. But this is not ideal for Kalen Sataki and BYU this year. The Big 12 is about the most competitive conference you'll get in the Power 4 right now, and you cannot afford to go in with a rookie at this point who's not had much chance to practice first up, but that's what's going to happen now.
BYU's dead in the water. Their season's over, essentially. I say, no disrespect to the QBs in the roster, but like you say, 3 transfers, and between them, hardly any starting experience. I read somewhere that people expect Bear to win the job because of his physical tools and the ability to move the ball down the field, but yeah, for me, it just nullifies any chance to. If they had a pre-season poll, which they're not doing in the Pac-12, and you released it after this, you'd have to be putting him somewhere in the middle towards the bottom. A talented roster now, but the lack of signal call is a huge issue. And yeah, it's very convenient timing. Like I said, they settle it out of court, which probably means hush money, doesn't it? It means there's been a payment made, which you never like to see. Like I say, it's sometimes the way these things go, whether or not it was a serious accusation or whether it was done maliciously. I never like to speculate. Like I said, these things always have a way of working themselves out. But yeah, Jake's last chance. He can't afford any suspension, even the minimum 3 games. Like I say, it's not good, is it? He'll probably lose the job by the time he gets back. Someone's probably taken it. So yeah, he needs to go somewhere straight away, quickly. Even the NIL, honestly, I think I'd probably play for free. If the right team were willing to pick me up, I'd play for peanuts. Because I'd say it's 2026 draft stock. Like I say, he has a bad season. He's a complete afterthought next year, and he's UDFA going to that XFL. So all of this could not have happened at a worse time for him.
No, it is a bad situation there, and as I say, it's just not ideal for BYU either. So we'll see who wins that one. But yeah, Backmeyer, Bourget, these guys. His other brother's there as well. Tiger is also at BYU, so there's been a Backmeyer invasion at BYU. But we'll see who wins that one.
Arizona State, Trenton Bourget. They had his brother for a couple of years. I don't know. He could still be there. QB3. He's been the QB3 there. He started a couple of games a couple of years ago.
Potentially. Who knows with that one? But as Ryan quickly mentioned there, it wasn't in the news, but yeah, the Big 12, they're not going to be doing their media poll this year as to where teams are going to finish, and Arizona State have completely broken their ability to try and do this, because last year I did this for our Discord. I put in just how wrong the Big 12 got their predictions last year. I will not go through all of it, but basically the top 5 predicted teams that the Big 12 media had finishing top 5 last year were Utah at 1, Kansas State at 2, Oklahoma State at 3, Kansas at 4, Arizona at 5. Respectively, they finished 13th, 8th, 16th, 14th, and 10th. Not one of their top 5 predictions ended up in even the top 7. Whereas conversely at the bottom, they had Arizona State finishing bottom, Houston finishing 15th, Cincinnati 14th, BYU 13th, and Baylor 12th. Well, Arizona State finished first, Houston were 12th, Cincinnati were 11th, but BYU was 2nd, Baylor were 5th. And if you want to go one up on that, Colorado, who were meant to finish 11th, finished 4th. So out of their bottom 6, they picked 4 of the top 6 in the conference. I mean, I know you get some wrong sometimes, but I mean, last year, good. I don't think there's been a set of predictions that bad in a long time. None of your top 5 finishing in the top 7, and 4 of your bottom 6 finishing in the top 6. It's basically just switched round, and the teams in the middle just switched a little, but boy, they got it wrong, and Arizona State are to thank for that.
Yeah. Are they scared? Are they embarrassed? Scared to be embarrassed again? It's very petty, isn't it? Like, come on, like, you're well-paid guys, put your money where your mouth is. Like I say, you've got to be wrong. Like you say, you can't just not do it just because last year was a mess and some of you looked very foolish.
Exactly. You know, you live and die, don't you? Last year, I said Drew Aller was going to win the Heisman. I'm still here. I'm not hiding from it. Mistake, but, you know, we just sometimes you get them wrong. But, yeah, Big 12. Shame on you not having a preseason poll this year. So, yeah, that is everything to do with Jake Retzlaff. And then just got a few stories to go through here just to have our say on. And Yardbreaker did an article, and they listed the top ranked teams in terms of their home record over the last 3 years. Who are the teams who are really good when it comes to the home form and the ones you should watch out and not bet against necessarily when they're on home turf? So going from 10 to 1, 10th in this list is UTSA. They've gone 17-2 at home over the last 3 years. That's an 89.5% win rate there. Obviously, nearly won the American in the process. At number 9 is LSU, also gone 19-2, which you think of how bad Brian Kelly's run has been there and how little they've won. They've been good in Death Valley, but they've not really been good on the road, which has been their problem, and, you know, is what's going to hold them back. If they're ever going to make a move, they're going to need to be able to do that. But your LSU are 19-2 at home. Michigan are tied in 7th with Ohio State, the big rivalry. They're both 21-2 at home over the last 3 years. Ohio State's losses, I believe both of them are to Michigan, so there you go. And then at number 6, rounding out the first of these, is Ohio in the MAC. So the Ohio Bobcats over the last 3 years are 17-1 at home. That is a 94.4% win rate there. I mean, you know, some names you maybe wouldn't expect are so dominant at home there. Ryan, LSU, it's surprising given the lack of success they've had, but again, shows a picture that at home with that atmosphere, you know, they can sort of wear teams down, but then on the road, they're maybe not as mentally strong there. But, you know, some little teams representing. There's some good home sides here.
Yeah. UTSA, is that the Alamo Dome?
The Alamo Dome, correct. I believe. That sounds right.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Like I say, it wouldn't surprise me to hear a few indoor teams on this list, you know, that kind of like have those climate cool conditions where they can play their best football. So seeing UTSA there doesn't surprise me, because there's just not that many teams that play indoors. And then Ohio, I suppose, does that say more about the rest of the MAC? The fact that the Ohio just batter everyone at home? Like I say, is it a partisan crowd? What is it that gives them that like force field around their home, I wonder?
I mean, it's shocking, right? Because when you think of the MAC, you think they all take wins off one another. Like, there's no one with not many losses in there.
They all win their home games, and then on the road, they're just a bit...
So Ohio is the cauldron. We'll have to ask James about it, see if there's anything specific. But yeah, just
LSU, I suppose, like you say, yeah, it's interesting because you've got to feel like a lot of them home wins, like I say, maybe against, like I say, the middle ground. But I say when the big teams come, be interesting to see like how they do. But yeah, on the road, maybe it's just more a mentality thing, the Brian Kelly thing. And Ohio State, Michigan, that don't surprise me at all.
No, very.
It doesn't surprise me either that their losses are probably, like I say, to each other.
Yeah,
over the last years.
Very strong teams at home. I think it was Texas obviously beat Michigan last year, and then the year before that, did they lose one? Oh, I think they lost to Michigan State 3 years ago at home. I could be wrong, but definitely Texas was one of them. Moving into the top five, so who has the best home records in college football over the last 3 years? You got Oregon at number 5, 19-1 over the last 3 years, 95% win rate there. The only team to beat them at Eugene in the last 3 years was Washington, when Washington beat them to the Pac-12, that 37-34 banger of a game, one of the best games I've seen in recent years that was, but very, very strong team there. Then tied for third, you got Tennessee and the Rocky Top at 20-1, as well as Alabama, who are also 20-1, both win rates of 95.2%. And then you go into the top two, you've got Georgia tied at number one. Sorry, it's a tie for number one. Georgia 19-0 over the last 3 years. Nobody's beaten them at home in the last 3 seasons. I think the last time they lost was against South Carolina in 2019. Rodrigo Blankenship was still in college at that point there. That's how far that is. But think of who might be at number one, right? You will never guess this in a month of Sundays. Washington. So they technically have a 20-1 record at home over the last 3 years, but the one loss, they were the designated home team at Lumen Field when they lost the Apple Cup to Washington State. So technically at their own ground, they're 20-0 over the last 3 years. Washington are, despite not being great since that Natty winning team and the Pac-12 winning team of a couple of years ago. That's really surprising, but I guess Washington, different climate to play in, it's hard to adjust up there. They're very strong at home. Obviously Georgia you would expect there. It's the SEC here. Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and then obviously Oregon at Eugene. There's a thing here, you're either SEC or you're really far northwest.
Yeah, I don't get the SEC thing, because like I say, nearly all the teams in the SEC, it's hot, it's humid, they all have wildly crazy home attendances. There's nothing, apart from like I say, the teams are really good, but nothing, like I say, I don't see any advantage that they've got over each other. Like Tennessee and Georgia play each other with two absolutely monumental crowds. Like I say, I get playing at elevation, and like I say, playing really low below sea level and high. Like I say, that the ball travels different. Like I say, fitness, stamina. Like I say, I kind of get that. I thought this list would be more environmental factors than it would be. Like I say, so I get a lot of the games, like I say, but I don't know. I hear a lot of teams that I feel like for those first 4 games in their schedule just give themselves cupcakes.
Yeah, but then you've got to go through the schedule. I mean, Washington's surprising, given the amount of hype behind them and specifically their quarterback.
Since Penix lost, they were crap.
Yeah, but it's hard to beat them at home. So that team potentially one to look for this year if they can keep the home form rolling and they can deal with the the Mid-East conditions coming across country, then potentially could be a good side this year. But yeah, those are the 10 teams who have the best home records in college over the last 3 years. Just thought it'd be interesting to see about those. But yeah, predominantly Power 5 guys, but Ohio, well done to you. Nobody in the MAC can go there and win. Media days have been announced as well for anyone who's interested in regards to all the players and the coaches talking. You can glean quite a bit from these, but they're going to start next week. Big 12 is up first. They between July the 8th and July the 10th, they're going to be doing all their media days. They'll not be doing a pre-season poll, but they're still doing the media stuff. After that, it's the SEC. That's the week starting July the 14th, and that goes through to July the 17th. They'll be doing all their media days there. July the 22nd for the ACC. So if you want to catch the ACC, you've got to wait until then. 21st is the Big Sky. I don't know why I've got an FCS one in here as well. Sunbelt is on July the 22nd. Conference USA is on July the 22nd. The MEAC as well is on July the 22nd. Then you've got the ACC going on through Wednesday and Thursday, July the 23rd and 24th. And then it ends with the American on Friday, July the 25th. You've got the MAC there as well. I don't think the Big Ten have announced theirs yet. They're the only ones not on here. But basically, between July the 8th and July the 25th, you are going to get all your media days. So going to be a lot of news coming out. A lot of positional battles will be decided by then. They'll let these little snippets out. So that is your guide there if you're interested in that sort of thing. Another article up, this is talking about freshman QBs who might make a name for themselves in year one. This is by CFN, College Football News. But, right, potential for some superstars to emerge this year. We've seen quite a few freshman QBs come over the last few years and do really well, but they've highlighted 5 specifically. You've got Keelan Russell at Alabama. He is currently fighting with Ty Simpson for that number 1 job there, and by all accounts, that battle is still not settled. I'm not sure they're settled on Ty Simpson just yet, but Keelan Russell, if not right away, could be in that team sooner rather than later, but there is a lot of hype behind him. He's tall, he's got the poise, he's got everything you really want, so we'll see there. You've got Deuce Knight at Auburn. He's their big 5-star recruit who's coming in this season. Obviously, you've got Jackson Arnold there, but given his form at Oklahoma, if he struggles a little bit, you may see Deuce Knight sooner rather than later. Because this is a big year for Auburn. We're going to be talking about him today, but there's a lot of hype behind this team for the first time in a long time. And if the big guy can't deliver, then you may see Deuce Knight sooner rather than later. Obviously, you've got the main man, Bryce Underwood at Michigan, providing he can beat out Mikey Keene, but people are expecting him to start right away, and he might be the most hyped of these guys altogether. Obviously, number 1 recruit in this class, has everything he needs to succeed against the next level. Big arm, dual threat. I'm looking forward to seeing him, even, if it means I've got to be pro-Michigan a little bit. And you've got another one in the Big Ten. You've got Malik Washington, the non-talked about guy for the Terrapins. So
I've read about him, like you say. Yeah, he's interesting.
No one's talking about the Terrapins at the minute, so he's probably going to get the starting job there. 6'4", 215 pounds, like absolutely ideal frame to come in right away. And in this Maryland offense where they love to air the ball out, you think of what Taulia did there. He might be in a position to go out and throw 3,000-4,000 yards in his first year if he gets the job there. And then of course you've got the big recruit coming into Colorado as well, Julian Lewis, another 5-star, might be one of the more fascinating guys out of this. So he reclassified from 2026 to 2025. It's an early enrollment at Colorado. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders is not there anymore. They need a new quarterback. They brought in Caden Salter, who was maybe expecting to get this gig, but his comp is Bryce Young, actually, from college. And now people may poo-poo over that because of what he's done at Colorado, but Bryce Young in school was incredible. In terms of his pocket presence, how calm he is, he's got an elite football IQ brain behind him. They are chatting about him maybe getting the job this year. Again, might not get it to start with, but he will get it sooner rather than later. But Ryan, this is a list of big quality guys coming in. Julian Lewis, Malik Washington, Bryce Underwood, Deuce Knight, and Keelan Russell. You would think out of this list you would expect maybe at least 1 or 2 of them to go big this year, and the rest sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Ty Simpson, even though he's young, he's been around forever, and he's not won any job. It doesn't feel like he's won the confidence of anyone. So I don't see why he'd start now either. It kind of feels like he's a perennial career backup. So I reckon Keelan Russell probably takes that job very quickly. Doesn't give it back. I say Malik Washington, interesting one of the highest paid players in the state of Maryland. It's a high-level recruit, like I say, keep him in. And calling spade a spade, the Terrapins are a terrible team. They've been rotten the last few years. They're gonna suck this year too. But that's not a bad thing for him, because he should walk in at the job for one, because who else on the roster, like I say, they shouldn't have a chance of taking it away from him. Like, if this guy's gonna be the future, give me it now. Like I say, get his foot in the door early. Like I say, it's one of those ways he's probably gonna throw for a lot of yards, good amount of touchdowns, will be a lot of interceptions. He's going to have a lot of growing pains, but I reckon 2 years down the line, maybe you start to see the rewards if he's starting now, and just, things ain't going to be pretty this year, but at least having him on the centre and getting the job early means that he won't be tempted to jump ship.
Yeah.
So it's a big year for them. And then, I think Caden Salter is very talented. Like I said, I feel like he should be he should be the one on the list, like I said, pushing the young kid the most. But if Julian's just going to come in and take the job, then Salter will pan out to be pretty bad decision on his part to potential worst year of eligibility. I'd be very shocked if Jackson Arnold doesn't win the job, or if it's usurped at any point this year. Because I feel like you say he got a rough go of it last year. I think there is talent there, but yeah, that's going to be a very interesting battle.
Yeah, I think out of all these, I think if I rank them, I think Malik Washington's got the best route to starting because there's not much at Tennessee to have a go in there. I think Bryce would be close after.
Bryce Underwood NIL basically means he's playing.
Yeah.
It hurts that much in the pocket.
Yeah, the only reason he's there is because obviously he's got Mikey Keene, who is better competition than what Washington has at Maryland. I think then after that you're looking at Keelan Russell. I think will be able to get that job sooner rather than later. Then I think you're probably looking. I think Juice Knight will be next. You just feel like Jackson Arnold's got that hook up in him that might get that job there, and then I think it would be Juju Lewis. I do hope Caden Salter gets a good run at Colorado because he deserves to play on the big stage. Give him a year there, then give Lewis the job, and if Salter wants, I guess he'll declare this year. Feels like he's been around a long time now. I think he's had 2 full starting years at Liberty now, so it'll be 3 years. So I think he'll declare this year. So that's my list there, but I'm really looking forward to seeing Keelan Russell. I think he's going to be wonderful at Alabama. And then College Football News also did an article on the 5 most under pressure QBs who may lose their jobs sooner rather than later this year, and they link in Thomas Castellanos at Florida State, obviously. Yes,
he talked a big game. He has talked some trash, hasn't he?
He has. He has basically told Alabama to go F themselves and that he's going to absolutely ruin them. And you would figure that quote is probably in LT Overton's locker right now. And you put an over-under on the amount of times he's going to sack him week 0 or week 1. I would put it at about 4.5, but Castellanos is under pressure. Obviously, Brock Glenn has come through the system at Florida State. He's got some starting action there. Hopefully, they'll have refined some of the issues you saw on the field with him. But Castellanos' job is not safe right away. If they figure it's going to go down the drain, they'll probably turn to their hometown option. Ty Simpson's in here as well. He's not technically a starter. He could lose it by week 0, but he absolutely should be on this list because, again, he's just got an absolute star behind him in Keelan Russell. And Austin Mack is there as well, so we'll see with that. They've got Gio Lopez at North Carolina. Obviously, Bill's first year there. You've got Max Johnson just sat in behind you as well, who's been the starter there before. So Gio's going to have probably a very thin fuse because Bill needs to start winning there and quickly to pay off all the money that they're paying him. You've got Connor Weigman at Houston. Obviously, he's got Zion Chris sat behind him, who has played starter at Houston, and Connor's probably not going to get that much rope given how his time in Texas A&M ended. Obviously, you got Jackson Arnold in Auburn as well. Again, Juice Knight is there behind him. Ashton Daniels, who has played starter for Stanford, is there as well. But I would probably agree with this. I think these 5, certainly all of them, if they don't have a good first month, could be sat on the bench.
Yeah, there's some there that, yeah, they're in trouble potentially pretty early on. Like say, I like Gio Lopez and I like Max Johnson. I hate the Bill Belichick hire. I hate everything that's going on there. It just feels like it's a recipe for disaster. It's going to be, yeah. I'd be very surprised if they don't at least start multiple games all season.
Yeah. I do want Gio Lopez to succeed, though. That South Alabama offense has been good the last few years. I hope he keeps his job and has a good season there. He could be an underrated prospect for the draft when it comes, but we'll see with that. Brent very quickly goes, thanks to Bryce Underwood, Wolverines have been getting a lot more top wide receiver commitments, though committing now doesn't hold as much water as in the past. No, it does not. The current recruiting window is coming to an end, but as soon as winter comes, everybody is going to start flipping again. And then there was one more QB article here, and this is about potential breakout quarterbacks this year.
I know who should be honest. I know who my number 1 would be.
For breakouts?
Yeah.
Hang on. I think he's going to be... Is he got the same first and last initial?
No.
Oh, he doesn't? Oh, okay. Well, I'll read out the 5 on here, and then if he's not on, then you can interject another. But the 5 potential breakouts this year, one on a team we really like. The first one is Sawyer Robertson down at Baylor. Obviously, Baylor have Big 12 aspirations this year, going and winning the whole thing. He's got a great running back with him. This team has been really good. And ever since he transferred in from Miss State, he has done so good. 3,071 yards last year, 28 touchdowns, QBR of nearly 84. Has a little bit of ability on the ground as well. We've got Miller Moss at Louisville, obviously transferred in from USC, and I know there's a lot of people looking forward to seeing Miller Moss in this very, high-scoring, high-octane offense there. Figure he could be the guy under center, and maybe not as dual threat as some of his predecessors, but certainly he's got the arm to sling it all over the place. 3,500 career yards for him, but would expect him to go nuts this year. Josh Hoover is on this list, the TCU quarterback. Obviously, we think he's a dark horse Heisman candidate this year. I think if last year had nothing to go by, 4,000 yards and 27 touchdowns, I don't know if breakout star is I guess you do it 2 years in a row, then you will break out. But and he needs to do it without his key targets from last year. But Hoover is in the conversation. You got Desmond Williams Jr. from Washington. We've mentioned him a little bit. Ton of hype. Absolute ton of hype for the dual threat quarterback going into the Huskies this year. They need much better performance. He was a freshman last year. He saw sometime nearly 1,000 yards. Only threw 1 pick, threw 8 touchdown passes, and I know they're expecting him to go off big this year. And then Ty Simpson makes the list again. He's on the list for everything. Could lose his job, might get his job, might break out this year, but, you're at Alabama. Of course, if you have a good year, you're going to break out. Who do you have in this list if he's not on there?
I can't believe Austin Simmons isn't there. The Ole Miss redshirt freshman. People think he's a star. Like saying that high-powered offense, I think he's going to have a monster year.
Oh, is he going to win the job though? Has he won the job yet? I thought there was a QB tiff going on there at this point. I could be wrong, but
to win the job.
Because haven't they just got a high-star recruit in the building as well? Is there a recruit? I swear they've just. You could be right. I think it's Austin. We talked about this a while ago. I think they've got a 5-star in this year. I could be wrong, who everyone was hyping up. But I do agree with you, Austin Simmons. But for the others, Sawyer Roberts.
I know Bo Pribula.
Oh, yeah, Bo Pribula for Missouri.
People getting higher on him. I'd put the brakes on it, but I thought he'd be on the list.
I know. There's potentially a lot here. I guess, though, Miller Moss will be the one everyone will watch, right? Everyone's expecting him to load up there at Louisville. And again, Sawyer Robertson going for the Big 12. If he wins a Big 12 with Baylor, Sawyer Robertson will. I think he's highly underrated, and he deserves a lot more love than he gets.
I just feel because all these NFL teams have gone super high on a former, say Louisville quarterback, does everyone just suddenly think Miller Moss is going to have a great year and get fondly looked upon in the next draft cycle? I ain't buying that.
He needs.
It just doesn't do much for me.
He needs a Kyle McCord-esque season, except without a game with 3 pick sixes in it to get him to where he needs to. But he's a long way to go. But I think Sawyer Robertson on this one certainly is the one who needs a lot more love than he gets. Brent goes, Justice Haynes is going to ball out bucket. The new running back at Michigan probably will ball out, especially if he's got a rookie QB under center. He should absolutely fill his chops up there. And I think there was one more I had. Oh yes, the odds for the college football playoffs have been released, and in terms of the top 10 teams who apparently have the best implied probability of getting into the playoffs this year, at number 10, you've got Ole Miss with a near 40% chance of making the playoffs. At number 9, you've got LSU at 42%. At 8, you've got Clemson with just a 58% chance making the playoffs. You got Notre Dame at 7 with 60%, Alabama at 6 with 61%, Penn State at 5 with a 70% chance of making the playoffs, Oregon at 4 with 72%, Georgia at 3 with 72%, just a little bit higher percentage, Texas at 2 with 75%, and Ohio State have the best odds to reach the playoffs this year, 76.2%. So you've got 3 Big Ten teams in the top 5, 3 SEC teams rounding out the top 6, Notre Dame, Clemson, LSU, and Ole Miss in there. I mean, Ole Miss, it feels like once bitten, twice shy. LSU are fancied this year. You've got to figure that's down to Nussmeier. I'm shocked Clemson are not more of a lock there. Clemson feel like the biggest lock for the playoffs out of this lot. I think they're going to absolutely dismantle the ACC and get themselves a high ranking.
I'd assume so, yeah. I don't... We know disrespect. Clemson should mop the floor with the ACC. Like I say, I know I put in my playoff dark horses Duke, which I'd like maybe they're an outside threat to them. Like I say, you look at Miami and I look at Carson Beck and I just go, ugh. Like, nah. He ain't it, is it?
No.
I can be one round by Miami. They can prove me wrong. They've just lost a lot. And I ain't exactly enamoured with what they've done to fix it. Yeah. Clemson feel like a lock.
Yeah.
LSU hit the portal really hard. They open their checkbook, which they don't always do. And you've got that emerging star linebacker pair. Like, so you've got a top 5 draft pick quarterback. Like you say, for me, it's always been the coach. Ain't like Brian Kelly. Don't trust him. That's probably the only option to win back. Yeah, but LSU, if it don't come together this year and they make the playoffs, then when will it?
Yeah, you figure he's got to be on the hot seat, but the big one, Ole Miss. If Ole Miss don't make it this year, is it time for them to say bye-bye Lane Train? Because it just feels like with the plethora of talent that goes through that program, some of the bad losses they've had when it really matters, like the 12-team playoff was made for teams like Ole Miss to get in, even with a couple of losses, and if you don't do it 2 years in a row, with all that money spent, this feels like a really, really pivotal year for him. Maybe not even just making the playoffs, but getting playoff wins and going deep.
Yeah, it's one of those where we already know what will happen if they don't make the playoffs. So they'll say, like, I'm starting a redshirt freshman. I said, the excuse is already lined up for him. We just lost our best corner to draft, our best safety. We lost our entire defensive line. Yes, it's true. But you're in the ACC and you're the Ole Miss Rebels, and frankly, you usually have 4 and 5 stars come out your asses. And it ain't good enough. And for me, if they bottom out, then yes, depending on the buyout of Lane Kiffin, you eventually get the plug. But like I say, you look at like who would you replace him with? I don't know. It's going to be one of those where you could shovel all the blame on Austin Simmons. I just had a look at the other QBs. Mayoalaka Smith, who was at Oklahoma State last year, another like redshirt freshman. So it is worrying to go into a season with such an inexperienced QB room. Honestly, someone like Jake Retzlaff going to back up someone like Austin Simmons would almost make a better sense.
Yeah, potentially.
There's very little veteran presence if, like I say, those guys get stage fright.
Yeah. So you've got to have something in place, but you need to do
I
much
love
better this year.
Person, but yeah, even I'm losing the rose-tinted spectacles. Ole Miss disappointed for years, and every year I've always come out and like say like this is the time. Nope, I'm not doing it this year. I'm no longer a Ole Miss believer.
He walks the walk. He talks the talk, but he doesn't walk the walk, I think is the thing. He says the right things.
NFL top-level talent.
Yeah.
And he can put a team together, but they can't win.
No. It's that mentality thing.
Lots of Mississippi is huge football levels, but they don't win.
It's the James Franklin syndrome. You can pump talent into the NFL.
They should not lose.
You pump talent into the NFL, you can have a good team, you can recruit well, but you just can't break the glass ceiling per se.
The Kentucky game just summed everything up tonight. He said, lost to a dreadful Wildcats team.
Yeah, and then you see the likes of Indiana make the playoffs last year with a first-year head coach. You know, you see all these teams getting it. Arizona State. You know, it's taken 3 years for Kenny Dillingham to take a nothing program into a serious contender who is set up for the future. And you're like, well, you've had 7-8 years now. You've had a long time, and you've not done this. So I think
Ole Miss could transfer to the Big 12, and it would still make life hard for themselves.
It's just not an easy conference. The Big 12 is just not an easy conference.
The fans and the team expect they would. Nope, they would still make life as difficult as they could for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Mile Marker's in the chat. Hope you're doing well, Mile Marker. You've arrived just in time, really, for the main segment of the evening. We've been going through some news and stuff for now, so good timing for you there. As always, if you've got anything you want to ask us while you're on air, while we're on air tonight, then please just let us know. But yeah, so college football playoffs, obviously, in about a month or so's time, when we're getting close to the season, we will start making our predictions as to which teams are going to get in and not. So keep an eye out for that. But we're going to move on to our main topic of the evening. And we're going to talk about centres. We were asked by Perry Ball the other week about centres coming into the 2026 NFL draft. And so I'll start this off right. Obviously, centres is such a fascinating position for me, the centre position is. This is a very valuable position for me. You are the quarterback of your offensive line. You have to, call the protections. You have to make adjustments, especially if your QB's down in shotgun. You are quarterbacking the offensive line. That is before you have to do your duties as a run blocker, as a pass blocker, and everything else that goes with it. It is a position of extreme trust. That is how an offense works. The center and the QB in unison together makes an offense run a lot smoother, and you see how bad it gets when you have a bad center in play. It just can fall apart quite quickly. Yet for some reason, it is not a valued position in the NFL. It does not get paid very well in the NFL. It gets looked down upon, and when draft analysts and shows start talking about offensive line prospects in the draft, they talk about tackles first. They always do, because it's the shiny, snazzy position. Even then, before centres, they'll start talking about guards, who's got inside-out versatility, who's all this. People come to centres last. They get no love whatsoever, and yet for me, they hold one of the most important positions on the team. Why do you think they all look down upon so much and paid so little, genuinely given how much they mean to a team? It just baffles me.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people straight up have the impression that any lineman can play centre, or that any idiot can snap a football and then just lift their head up and block what's in front of them, because they don't have to be the most mobile. They don't have to be big. There's a lot of centres in the NFL that, like, say, 6'1", 270, 280. It's not a position where there's any real body size. I think there's people out there that probably think they could snap a football consistently that many times a game and not, like, cock it up. People just undervalue the position. But anyway, the way I look at it is that teams that invest high quality draft picks in NFL, its centre position, reap the benefits. Two examples, like say the centre, Chiefs, Creed Humphrey, look how good he's got, second round pick. Cam Jurgens, like I said, they knew eventually Jason was going to retire, didn't know that soon, second round pick. So slotted in carefully. Like I say, Ragnow, let's say 22nd overall, and we got absolutely elite years out of him. A lot of teams out there neglect it, and then they'll overpay in free agency because they're not willing to use a sexy, like I say, a not sexy draft pick on a centre, which ends up being just don't overthink it. Like I say, next year, like I say, there'll be a couple of players we're going to talk about. Don't overthink it. Just use the top 50 pick. And do you know what? Even if you've got a centre right now, what does that matter? 2-3 years in the time, you don't know if your centre's going to be there. And you don't know if your centre, like say, calls it a day, gets traded, like say, your whole line might fall apart.
Yeah, exactly. Again, you look at
Anything, it should be, like say, at least on par with, like say, tagging a player. It should be on par with like a tackle.
Well, like you say, look at what Philly did. They had Jason Kelce for years. What did they do? Back-to-back years, they took Landon Dickerson, college centre. They took Cam Jurgens, college centre.
They played minimal as well. Cam Jurgens played minimal football in that time. And then when he was called upon, plugged.
Yeah. Played him at guard a little bit, got him a bit. What we did with Frank, right? We gave him a year.
Plugged the kid in. Like I said, it was just harmony. It just continued to sing.
Yeah, we gave Frank Ragnow a year.
Struggled in the NFL for years. Like say, Bears, like say, getting better now. But let's say Titans, Saints, all lines ravaged. Terrible O-lines, like I say, and they kept putting guys behind the O-line. Don't matter. You can have Shaq behind there, LeBron, Michael Jordan, the QB role. It don't matter.
No.
If your O-line isn't good, then it doesn't matter how good your QB is.
No, exactly. And, like the Lions, we put Ragnow at guard for a year, got him ready, and then sent him there and he was ready. But for me, centre is
centre is the only position in the NFL where I want them to play every game possible. I don't care how old they are when they declare, because If you come out at 24, 25, don't bother me because I want 10, 15 years out of you. And I
Yeah,
want you to play 40 games. I want you to have 3,000 snaps.
yeah.
Like I said, all across the O-line, majority of centre, that's fine. Wide receiver, I don't want you to risk injury. The moment you're able to declare, I want you at like 20, 21.
Yeah,
Now,
and
O-line in general, it does not bother me how old you are.
yeah, and it's a case of for centers you need the development right. You've got to get it's IQ as much as anything. It's such a high IQ position. Again, you've got to detail the defense. You've got to look for the protections, look for the late blitzes, do everything the quarterback is doing. Especially if you've got a rookie lined up behind you, that is essentially your job to do all that. And the IQ's got to be there as well as the technique. You are the leader. You've got to have the leadership. You've got to have the run blocking, the pass blocking. All these things have got to be at a high level for you to be a great player. And Mile Marker raises a good point. It goes, it seems to me centers are critical in away games as well, right? Noise, distraction. You need a center who can operate without getting cadence from his quarterback, and who the quarterback can trust. The quarterback can trust. That is a great point there from our marker. Like, there's so much critical aspects of a center's game that do not get looked upon. As you say, the good teams, they have good ones. They have guys who've played center at college for a long time. It's not just something I don't like putting guys there. Like, what we're going to do with Ratledge. I want Ratledge to play right guard for us. I don't want him to play center. I don't want him to get his first snaps as a centre in the NFL. I'd rather keep him there, and I'd rather draft one of the guys this year we're going to talk about in a minute. Brent goes, it makes me feel a little better knowing Ratledge was the backup centre at Georgia. He took raps in practice every week. Should help his transition. Yes, it does. It does. But ideally, you'll want him to play first team snaps and get ready for it.
Short-term stint if you play center.
Yeah. Exactly. You want to have something to work on. But anywho, like, the overall point is centres are very highly undervalued. They're not very well thought of, and people come into a draft cycle and don't really know much about them whatsoever. So when Perry asked last week, I thought, you know what? Let's get to a point where let's bring some names to the fore this year. Let's talk about this year's centre class. Some of these guys who are going to hear their names called next year potentially, or not. A lot of these guys are juniors who may stay for another year. But all I'll say about this year's class is it is potentially very highly talented. There are 2 standard bearers at the top, and there are about 7 or 8 guys who could jump into that conversation if they have a great year. And there's some guys in the group of 5 as well who could make this conversation. So Ryan's got 3 guys lined up. I've tiered my centres into 4 guys. So as I say, there's the 2 that everyone should know about at this point, the casual ones, and that who are quite well known. I've got the guys under that, 3 of them who will be known about very soon, probably just because of the programs they're at. They're not right now. I got 3 guys who are the long shot odds, who were either former high star starters who've had to go down a bit and they're working their way back up, and then we've got some group of 5 guys in there as well. So let's dive straight down into this. So obviously we'll talk about the 2 guys at the top who everyone should know about, and there's one specific one who Ryan has done something on for today. Everybody should know about this guy. Potentially one of the best, not just centers in college football this year, but maybe the best interior offensive lineman in all of college football this year, on a team which is expected to make waves and is going to get a lot of national attention if it does well, and a guy who I would love the Lions to draft in the first round next year, because that's where he's presented to go. But Ryan, there is by and away a standard bearer in this group this year.
Yeah, for me, this is the offensive interior number 1 in next year's class. It's Jake Slaughter. So the Florida Gator, 6'5", 305 pounds, 22 years. He has so far played, it doesn't sound a lot, only 27 games. He's only got 1,397 snaps on center. Now, that's not a lot, but what he's managed to do in that time, been outstanding. So in 2013, he had a 75.9 run grade with PFF. 2024, he upgraded that to an 83.9, which is an elite grade. In that period as well, his pass pro went from 2023 to 2024 up to a 79 grade as well. So last year, he was grading out at basically elite in run and pass pro. Not to mention also 3-time SEC academic all-honor roll student over his 3 years there. Incredibly bright kid, very well respected in the classroom, on the field. This guy is a leader. Like I say, he watches the tape, he calls out what he sees, Like I say, he'll kill a play if he doesn't like anything. He recognises guys that are twisting, guys that are stunting. Like I say, he's going to call the blitzer out. He's going to pick up all those things in a snapshot of a second, and that makes the decision whether or not you call a timeout. He is, like I say, he is the general. Like I say, if he doesn't see it, it's not going to happen. Like I say, it's on him to try and call. Like I say, he's got an incredibly young QB and running back behind him. Like I say, this is kind of like he is like the kindergarten guy. He is the guy that's going to look after these kids, and he's the one that's going to steer them right. Very gritty dude. Like I say, his reliability is there when he's called upon. He's had very little niggles. He just didn't win the starting job that long. Like I say, it was a rotational before he finally came in. He's always been very reliable there. And he is the most well-rounded interior guy coming to draft. Like I say, whether it's going backwards in pass pro, whether that's run blocking going forward, getting to the next level. And like I say, he's quite a light guy as well, 305. He's got good footwork. He gets the next level. And when he does, he punishes guys. Like I say, he is going to leave block for Jordan Ball this year. He is going to get to the next level. He's going to get to linebackers and safeties, and he's going to have the pancakes. He's put on probably, I'd say, 10 pounds max. Like I say, he's at that perfect ideal weight. Like I said, the whole build about him right now is perfect. But yeah, projection is somewhere between like 25 and 35. Kind of guy you might trade back up into the first round for to get that extra year. But yeah, if we're where we are, where I think we're going to be, like say like 25, 26, if I'm Brad, like don't overthink it, make the sensible call, franchise centre, like say you get the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years out of him. I'm calling the play. So a lot of people would not like the pick, the same way they didn't like the Frank pick, because they're too all bells and whistles. And that's not JK's. But like I say, this guy, I'd like to think Florida make a sneaky playoff run. And this guy gets a lot of national attention, especially the next level. That offense is going to do some big things this year, and it's all going to start through him. Yeah, he feels like a lock for a first round. He'll be a combine, a big pro day. One of those kind of guys that is a true plug-in play-in. Right, so you've already got a starter on him. Then, no, I don't want to put him at guard. He feels wasted there. True centre, like I said, unless you need a centre, you ain't going to take him. And that just means he gets further and closer towards the teams that are ready now at the back end of the first round, where I'm hoping we should be. So yeah, this guy is just he's the full ready package now. He could start in the NFL next year. I'd be very comfortable about that. Despite the minimal playing time, he's just shown that he's just such a quick learner, and he learns on the fly, and he's very well experienced.
Yeah, in an ideal world for me right now, Ratledge plays right guard this year. Graham does the year at centre, and then we replace Graham next year.
Mahogany at left guard.
Mahogany,
that interior would be.
Mahogany, Slaughter, and Ratledge they would end lives for a decade, as I've said. Like, you would just go absolutely nuts. But there's so many things that stand out about this guy. Like you say, he was only a 3-star prospect when he came out. Florida have really done well with these projects. Like Osiris Torrance was like a 2-star. But like I said, he got there. Kingsley Aguakun was the centre. He's on the Lions roster right now, so it's not like he was bad competition, he was behind. He was the only centre in the Power 4 last year to grade at both 80 and above in run and pass defence. Nobody else did that. And you think about the opponents he faced last year. So let me list off the guys he came up against last year. Walter Nolan, JJ Pegues, Alfred Collins, Shamar Turner, Deone Walker, Omar Norman Lott, Josh Farmer. All of those were taken round 4 or higher in the draft, just gone. One of them went in the first round at number 16. And then there were at least another 7 DTs he came up against who are figured to be day 1 or day 2 picks in future drafts in the SEC. If you talk about running a gauntlet of high-level opposition, it's one of the toughest routes, to get through there. He's just up against elite opposition nearly every week, and he gave up 1 sack last year. Think it was to Walter Nolan, and you've seen the tape added on him. Like, Walter's an absolute insanely good defensive tackle. You're going to get done by him once upon a time, but I mean, you look at that, 1,400 snaps there. And again, the thing that is so great about him potentially is he's on a team that will make waves this year. He's got the national stage this year, right? But, I mean, you can't ask for a higher level of competition. For him to do so well against that gauntlet of opposition in his first real year as a starter just shows you the level, doesn't it?
Yeah. I say he's gone up against the best of the best. He isn't going to come up... The NFL, it ain't going to shock him like I say, what he's going to come up against, especially on his own team, like I say, and other teams that level, that standard, playing like say SEC football. I know everyone says like, oh, it's SEC bias, but it is. It's the best of the best, and like so there's no denying that. And the defensive linemen in the SEC are the best in the country, and they're often taken in the first round of the draft. We've seen that; it's a living testament. So yeah, the game to him is at a slow enough pace where, yeah, like I say, if you've got a guy for a year, like I say, if it's going to be his final year, sit him. Like I say, you're using a year of him. Like I say, I ain't gonna bother him. Like, do you want to play some guard? Like, nah. I just let him learn and sing. Like I say, sure he'll fill in, and he'd probably be willing to. But no, this guy's a one position guy.
Yeah, and that's all he needs to be. He's going to be a NFL level center for a decade plus potentially if he goes on the way he is, and he's going to make these young stars shine. DJ Lagwake, if he gets a Heisman this year, Jake Slaughter is going to be part of the reason why. But I'm so looking forward to watching this Florida team play this year. In terms of the other guy who people might know about, and Lions fans potentially might as well, because Brad absolutely adores this team and its players, and you're staying in the SEC. You got Parker Brailsford at Alabama, so he's a bit smaller, 6'2", 290 pounds. Spent 2 years at Washington, 1 year as a starter, and then he transferred along with Kayla DeBoer to Alabama last year and took the starting job. Never gave it back. And as I say, this is a rapid riser. So earned the starting job at Washington as a redshirt freshman. He graded 81 in the run game that year. Gave up just 1 sack in pass protection. That's the year Washington won the Pac-12 and went to the national title game. Then moved with DeBoer to Alabama, won the starting job right away, played every game, had an 82 pass protection grade last year. In over 1,000 pass protection snaps, he's given up 1 sack in his entire career, which was against Oregon 2 years ago. He is a twitchy, juiced up, relentless player. So being a smaller guy, he uses some elite speed to land the first blows. His get off is really good. That negates the smaller size issues that guys will have like him there. But it's worked for him so far in his collegiate career. All he really needs to do this year, you need to adapt to the run game. Obviously, Bama's run game was not great last year, but you've got to focus on the technique. He just lacks a little in the technique department. And for smaller guys, you've got to have great technique, because when you come up against bigger DTs, technique is how you win, and that's how you make an impact in the run game. But in terms of everything else, he's got that there. Not much for him to have to do. And this is his redshirt junior year. Again, he's got a lot more experience to be had. But for more of an undersized centre right, he's had success everywhere he's been. He's made this job his own, dealt with going to the SEC is tough. It's not easy. But Parker Brailsford, I say, if he gets those little bits right in the run game, he's going to be another legit round 1 contender potentially next year. And I don't think the size will bother a lot of teams just because of the speed he plays with.
No, like I say, he's a different kind of prospect to the likes of Jake. He's small, he's more nimble, he's more athletic. Like I say, the pulling is probably a bit better option. Like I say, be a bit better at getting across guys' faces, getting to the next level. Probably offers more of a better threat getting to the second and third level as a lead blocker. There's just a few more things you can do. And we've seen, like I say, I think a trend in the last couple of years, like I say, centers getting more small and more compact. Like I say, as long as they're able to still deliver that pop, still got good hand strength, still got everything like that. Their ability, like their short stature, shouldn't really find anything. Yeah, Parker's an example of a good communication pipeline, like say, between high level prospect, big level school, but the coach is there. They can mold anyone in what they want to be. If you've got the talent, you've got discipline, you've got the work. Like say, Parker's another one of them where he should be another guy that would be considered fairly high at his position and on big boards of draft, someone that you could mold and be a next star at the next level. So yeah, another guy that we could go down this route as well to offer something. Especially say works on the run game. Like I say, if he's got one of the fundamentals down, moving backwards, happy to pass pro. Like I say, they don't have to be the polished article like they are. Be interesting to see what he does do, depending on how the Crimson Tide season goes.
Because he could have another year down there, or if he has a great year and that Bama team's back in the playoffs, I think you'll see him declare. And again, I don't think the teams will mind the size, so we'll see with him. But yeah, so there are your 2 main centres for the draft next year. As it stands, the 2 well-known ones, Jake Slaughter, definite first round pick as it stands. Parker Brailsford is on the precipice right now, but if he gets where he needs to, he's got the potential. dropping down into my second tier now. These are the guys who could potentially be really good given a good season, and some of these are on teams like Slaughter who traditionally not been good for a while, but they might be on a much bigger stage this year. And this leads me to maybe my favourite outside of Slaughter, in terms of if we're not going to get him in the first round, you're going to look for a guy afterwards, and you're still staying in the SEC. I absolutely love Connor Lew at Auburn. We have talked a lot about Auburn players this year, and they've got a ton of talented players on this team, but maybe none more so than the guy they've got under centre there. So he's 6'3", 300 pounds. He's spent this is his third year at Auburn. He's played there since he got recruited there, stayed there his entire career. For me, he's the hidden gem of this centre class potentially. He got an opportunity in week 8 of his true freshman year because of injury to the starting centre to get into the team. He's not given that position back ever since he took it, so he was a true freshman starter. Played in his true sophomore year the entire year. He's coming into his true junior year. He's already got 17 starts and he's played in a few more games, considering this is just the second year of starting for him. So he's already experienced, and the thing I love about this guy, he's extremely clever. When we talk about the IQ of centres, the guys who are sometimes a bit more up here than the flashy stuff they do on tape, he sees the game really well. When it comes to his setting of the protections, when it comes to him seeing late blitzes, you can see him, he's very active with his movements, he's very active with his wording. Like, he's constantly moving guys around, setting up, but he does it well. It leads to a very cohesive offensive line, of which 4/5 of it are returning for Auburn this year. But you want a general under the centre position, this is the guy. And to show you how much he takes the mental side of this game into his account, he went to the spring staff meetings. This is not even for players. He's attended all the spring staff meetings. He's gone into the rooms with the coaches, with the staff, because he wants to intrinsically learn the game, the system that they're running. He wants to very much be that coach, that leader on the field as well as off it. Not many players do that. Just going to go to show you the mentality that he's got, and this is what I absolutely love about him, because it translates on to the field. It's critical for a centre to be clever in the NFL and to be able to do all this, to be able to quarterback his team. I think he's one of the most ready in that discipline here. As a player, he's completely immovable in pass protection. I've never seen lower body strength like this before. 1 sack surrendered in nearly 700 pass protection reps, and like Slaughter, the level of opposition you come up against is high. So to be, that good shows you that you're ready to take on a higher level of opposition. The anchor is so strong, just allows him to generate a ton of power, so the guys who try to bull rush him just can't move him. The quicker, speedier guys, he's not an elite athlete, but he is good enough athletically that he can deal with smaller, speedier guys, and he's got the technique to be able to get them under wraps. So he's all round in terms of what he can deal with, and he's a mauler in the run game. He loves specifically doing the combo blocks with the guards. He even gets out to help the tackles. He's the guy who's moving most out of all of them there. And for me, why I'm so excited is this is a huge year for Auburn, as we've said. You've got a potential high-level quarterback under centre. You do have a semblance of a running game now, which hopefully can show his run side of the game a bit more, because a lot of the stuff on tape is his pass pro stuff. But you've got 2 stud wide receivers. You have the ingredients to make a great offense here, and 4 of 5 starters returning on the offensive line. Starts with the guy in the middle. If this Auburn team is going to succeed this year, Connor Lew is going to need to succeed. He's going to need to be the screw that holds this all together and doesn't get jolted out of place. And again, when you're looking at Lions picks, you watch him play, he is not the flashiest player out there. He does his job incredibly well. He is gritty, he is hard working. There's no flash to him. He just does what he needs to. I absolutely love Connor Lew. I think he's going to be, probably, he might be centre 2 by the time the year is done, right? But again, this is going to be one of those crucial cogs for Auburn this year. Connor Lew's going to be very important to them, but he looks every bit the part. He has been since the true freshman.
Yeah, it's one of those teams where there's a lot of flashy moving pieces. There's a lot of hype, but it's going to have to start with him. Like I said, the offensive line is not able to hold up, and whoever's under centre are all extremely young guys. Let's say that are inexperienced. It's going to come through him. Like I say, a run game that has lost Jarquez Hunter. So, like I say, the new depth pieces that are there, they're going to look to him to make those big holes in the middle that he's done for previous years. He's going to be a kind of guy that's going to take upon himself to be the kind of guy that make stuff happen on that offensive line and rally the troops. Because big year for the Tigers. Like it's a big year for the coaching staff on warming seats on a gentle simmer right now. And they're going to be one of the guys where they're going to challenge him and say, look, you've got the draft coming up. Right, so if you want to be one of those guys that's in talk with, like, say, top 50, top 75 pick, then, like, say, what we do this year, you're going to have to be one of the guys that's going to kind of start it. It's all going to start with you in the middle in the trenches. Connor is, he's a great pick. Feels scrappy. Feels great. He feels like a kind of guy that makes, like, a potential really steal value pick. Like, so I'm going to be watching him a lot. He's one of those guys where everyone will be watching the Cam Colemans, they'll be watching the guys like that. No one's going to be watching Connor. And like I said, that could make him incredibly good value. Like I say, if the team does well, like I say, only the people that really pay attention will realise it's because of him and guys like him.
Yeah. That's what goes for a few. It's like Slaughter as well. A lot of people might not know him because he plays for Florida, but Connor Lew is certainly in that bracket. Brent goes, Auburn Center, wasn't their QB Anthony's dark horse? There's a reason Jackson Arnold was a Heisman dark horse for me. 2 elite wide receivers, 4/5 of an offensive line returning, which are a high-level offensive line, including Connor Lew, and he's got a running back game this year. So yes, Jackson Arnold can be a dark horse because of guys like him. So I fully stand up for that one. So he's in my next tier. Ryan, let's have another one of yours because I've chatted on for a bit. Who else have you got to watch in the centre classes this year? You do have one that I've got as well. So anyhow, you go with one.
I've got the guy that. This guy is interesting. So I've got a potential middle round steal here. So Bryce Foster. So he's a current Kansas Jayhawk. He did spend the rest of his years before last year as a Texas A&M Aggie. 6'5", 330 before this year. A behemoth. You don't usually get centers that big, nor that heavy at 22 years old. Over 2,500 career snaps. This guy has been there, he's done it, he's worn the t-shirt. He's an absolute man mountain. In 2021, true freshman starter, Texas A&M Aggies, SEC all-freshman team. Like I say, under center. Like I said, that is a very prestigious award to win, coming into such an important position that, like I said, coming into the minefield that is, and held his own incredibly well. He came in and lit the SEC up straight away. But a couple of years there where, like I say, there was a few niggles. Like I say, there was a team that was struggling. Decided in 2024 that it was going to take a change, and it was going to transfer to the Kansas Jayhawks. Now in 2024, started every game, all Big 12 selection, no sacks given up, and only 5 generated pressures on 350 pass blocking snaps. That made him PFF's fourth best center in a Power 4 conference. Like I say, he was incredibly good. Like I say, on a team that was incredibly hot and cold, he was the constant figure. Like I say, he held that line together and he did it the best he could. Like I say, whether they win, lose, anything, it was always, like I say, he kept it together no matter who was behind him. Like I say, quarterback rotation, they had injuries. He was the real constant figure. He can be depending on no matter who asks him what they need to do. He's been at 2 big programs and 2 different conferences, asked to do multiple different things, and he has done it to the best of his ability. So last year he played 330. He's already said this year he's expecting him to come in and weigh at 310. So that's 20 pounds this winter apparently. He is coming in the more agile, leaner, lighter, like I say, in just weight, like muscle. He's going to be the best possible version of himself this year. It's a huge year for him. He's an incredibly strong and monstrous guy. Like I say, he gets his head down. Like you say, he has power. Like I say, he's got vision. He's incredibly smart. He's probably one of the most experienced centers that will enter this draft class. Played some of the most football. Like I say, he's one of. I'd feel very comfortable. Like I say, if you've got a center, like I say, you know's only got a year or 2 left, the kind of guy that you could grab. Like I say, just puts in the work. He'll turn up every day. He's got the build. He's got the experience. He's got the reps under his belt. Like I say, he's got the expect of his locker room. He has put together himself a very nice collegiate career. And this guy, depending on the pro day and the combine, because like I said, the size and weight for him just makes him intriguing. Because like I say, he's so big, but the footwork and that is so light. Like I say, this guy could go from like say anywhere from like say round 4 to round 6, and it makes him a very interesting prospect, especially for us because we like those super athletic grey guys. Like I say, and someone for me that I'm really interested to see how they do this year. I don't expect it to be a good year for Kansas, but I expect him to be like I say their shining bright star on him. Like I say, he stayed true to the cause. Could have transferred again. Could have got a big job starting somewhere. Could have maybe gone back to the ACC with Tim the centre. But nope, he's going to see out his year here. He's going to go and like say the future's very bright for this man. And he for me is probably the most intriguing options as another pure natural centre coming into like say that no man's land middle of the day twos, early day three picks next year, but could be one of the steals of the draft as a potential NFL starting center in a number of years.
So that is Bryce Foster from Kansas there, another to keep a very close eye on. So in my second tier, the guys who could potentially be great with another good year behind them, I've got two more, and this is from a system where we like our offensive lineman, and he's not the most experienced out the bunch, but he has the potential to make a big splash this year. Got Yapani Lalulu at Oregon, the true junior coming into this year. 6'2", 325 pounds. Another on slightly small side. He was a 4-star recruit a couple of years ago. Spent his entire career at Oregon, and now this is your pancake center. He hands out more pancakes than an IHOP employee. Like 28 games he's played, 15 starts. In his true freshman year, he played left guard, center, right guard. Going into the true sophomore year, he started at right guard just for the first 2 games. He moved to centre, and he's been there ever since. And you think of like Penei Sewell, he plays with that Polynesian will to dominate and overpower you. You will be hard pressed to find a defensive tackle who can beat him for pure strength. The guy is just muscle bound and would just absolutely kick your ass if you try to overpower him. The footwork is tremendous. His athleticism is really high. He's another who can fly all over the place and uses that quickness again just to mitigate that inch or two that he doesn't have in the size department. He's the guy who'll punch you first. He'll get you off balance and he will make you struggle. And it's kind of just like a similar situation to Parker Brailsford. Just got to get the technique in the run game a little bit more. Oregon's run game was good last year, but he specifically just struggled a little bit compared to his pass pro, which is excellent. And of course, he's only had 1 year really as a full starter at the position, so his is a very high ceiling, which you will probably see the game develop more with just a few reps, with more reps and another season under his belt. He could be one of those who makes a surprise run at the draft next year as a younger guy because he might be ready with one more good season behind him. But for me, what makes him stand out this year, or what will potentially make him stand out, he's got the physical attributes, he's got all the attributes you want there, but it's the leadership attributes. Oregon has lost 4/5 of its offensive line coming into this year. He is the only returning starter from last year, and expectations are high in Eugene for Oregon to go and do, finish off what they tried to start last year in the Big Ten and go ahead and make the championship game. And to complicate things, he's guarding Dante Moore this year, and Dante Moore, as we know, when he gets pressured, when he's prone to making mistakes. If he gets pressured, he's prone to some bad throws. You need top level center play to protect a quarterback who he's potentially going to be great, but he's had a bad start to his career, and you want to keep him upright. You need a center who has experience, who is going to be able to help him with the offensive line, help take some of that load off him, and also help get that run game going to be able to alleviate the pressure from Dante Moore as well, and to basically school an entire new unit he's going to have with him. Obviously, Oregon do grow their own transfers, their own players, but I think there's 3 transfers going to be starting in that line this year, so there is massive expectation on Lulu this year, right? But from what we've seen of him and what we saw of that line last year, there's no doubting the physical tools. There's no doubting the physical prowess and that. It's just 1, getting the run game right, and 2, this is the year he can show his leadership. And if Oregon do well this year, that offensive line looks good, it's going to be down to him, and that will kind of get rid of any of the question marks up against him. And we know the lineage from there. He could end up going very high if this is a good year for them.
Yeah, this is one case where I think where the rest of the line is kind of gone and there'll be all new faces will work to your advantage because it shows how well do you react on the fly? How well can you work with guys that they ain't your brothers. Like I say, you ain't wars in the trenches yet. You're gonna have to just have spring camp with them. You're gonna have to form bonds, form relationships. You're gonna have to keep an eye on back of your head watching Dante. You have one eye in front of you. You have two eyes on the side of your head, like a place fish or a trout, watching what these guys are doing as well. Like this guy's responsible for everyone, making sure they're doing their job properly as well to the Oregon Ducks level of standard. Because like I say, Eugene, the standards and the expectations of that fan base are sky high. Dan Lanning has brought, like say, newfound success. With that comes newfound pressure. Like saying when you're like that veteran presence in the line, and like everyone is looking to you to kind of like say keep it calm. Like I say, we just talked about our extending home record. Like I say, keep that going. And with a QB that, yes, doesn't like to be flustered. He doesn't like to, like I say, he likes things to be fairly smooth. Like I say, kind of he's like a rhythm quarterback, passing quarterback. So yeah, I think he might have, of all the names we've listed, he might have a chance to be the biggest riser. If he can get that line doing the best with maybe the least or maybe the most so far like new blooding in, like say bedding it in and helping them, like say hopefully he can leave them better off than when they've arrived. So it'll be a good mentorship and task for him this year, I think.
Yeah, like you said, I think he's got the most to gain potentially this year because of the situation he's in. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he reacts to that. Mile Marker goes, hope Oregon does well. I have a brother in Eugene. You know what? I've grown softer on Oregon over these. I used to hate on Oregon, especially when they had the rivalry with Washington and Utah. But I think, Paul must be softening my views on them in Discord because he's so great to chat to, and so maybe I just hope they do well for him. I mean, they got that 5 triple star, whatever they call him, Ian Archo today. He's going to be a menace when he gets there next year. And as Brent says, Oregon's been pushing out some great offensive linemen for a while now. Who's their offensive line coach? I would have to check that. That is, what's his name? I'll get back to you on that. It's very similar to an NFL coach's name, and I keep forgetting what it is. But yeah, Oregon, if he's going to succeed anywhere because of the coaching, that will be there for Lulu. Mile Marker goes, Eugene is asthma capital of the Pacific Northwest. Detroit skies are cleaner. Oh, really? I thought it would be nice and pure up there in the Northwest, in the forest regions. That would surprise me there a little bit. But yeah, Yupani Lululu, true junior this year. Sky is the limit for him. And then the other one I've kind of got on the tier just below the top 2, where they could really get in there with a strong season on a team that has been completely forgotten about on its offense. But I know Ryan especially appreciates guys from this team. You got Logan Jones at Iowa, the most experienced center out of these. If you've got a lot of young promising guys out there, you've got some pancakers, you've got some high IQ guys, you've got a little bit of everything. You've got physical freaks. This one is the experience guy. 38 starts for this Iowa team. 6'3", just a smidge under 300 pounds. He is basically what you would call the epitome of an Iowa lineman. It sounds lazy, but we all know what type of player Iowa produce. These are hard asses who never stop playing, who are built like granite. You can't bring them down, and he's been operating on an offense which, for years has been great with its run blocking. He is an absolute mauler. He was a first-team All-American last year by the media, and you think of some of the centers in the Big Ten, beat out some big competition here, but, I mean, it sounds lazy to just say he's from Iowa, right? But if you say he's from Iowa, you know what type of player that he is. He's just an absolute bruiser who's just going to kick your ass and is just going to play 120% every single snap. And this year for him, it's going to be big because for the first time in his entire career at Iowa, he's going to have a good quarterback playing behind him. So that pass protection is going to get called into action a lot more. Like, this offense is potentially going to go good. More people are going to watch it. More attention is going to come his way. I say, as a run blocker, he's tremendous. He shows this year. He protects Mark Gronowski. This Iowa offense finally gets to some form of relevance. This is another whose stock is going to absolutely soar because he's coming from a system which creates NFL linemen, both sides of the ball. He's got the experience. He's got everything really you want here. He's just never really had the help on this offense to shine the light on him.
No, it's one of those where when you think of Iowa football these days or in recent years, you look to the trenches. Like I say, you kind of always thought, offensive linemen. Like I say, they ain't a great offense, they ain't strong, but but their trench warfare is usually very good. And this guy, yeah, he has got a lot of football under him. Like I say, he has been. It's almost like a lot of years he's been playing with one arm behind his back. That Iowa offensive coordinator, like I say, the whole program's just been it's been sloppy. Like I say, they've not played good football in recent years offensively, and he is the kind of guy that stayed true to the cause because God knows I wouldn't have. I would have got if I were a top like most experienced center in the nation, I would have been packing my bags a while ago to somewhere where I feel, like I say, like I can make a difference. The guy has slogged, put the body on the line, done the best he can. I'm like thinking now he's been rewarded with, like, say, Mark, who is a great running QB that peels out very well, throws on a run. We might be able to see a bit more of athleticism this year. Like I say, where it's kind of like say they might have more athletic QB, which means maybe the offensive line's going to give a bit more free rein to get down the field and make blocks. So I'd like to see this side, like say, maybe we'll see a bit more of the handbrake taken off from the O-line this year. But like I say, a straight up savvy veteran, snaps under his belt, like I say, very experienced, comes from a school that kind of has a bit of a pedigree at the position, like you say, where you're often expected to be good or assume they're good, which always works in your favour. And yeah, it's a big year for Iowa football as well. For me, it's a big year for Kirk Ferentz because I just feel like at some point, like you pull the plug, like I said, and the coaching staff, the coordinators in general. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this year goes for the Hawkeyes.
Brent just said, did Anthony just say offense and Iowa in the same sentence? Yes, I did. You can use negatives in sentence, but I did. And you know what? Ryan is the reason for my belief this year. Ryan believes in Mark Gronowski. He's going to have a good season. How good do you reckon could Iowa be a top half of the Big Ten offense with Gronowski? Like, is that the ceiling here? Are we ready to put a bold prediction out like that they can throw back at us in 7 months' time?
No, because they got a lot of white kids at receiver with double-barreled names that ain't good. They got a lot of hedge and trust fund kids catching the ball.
Oh, okay.
Last year, I say, I don't trust the weapons.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mark is going to be working with the best he's got. Honestly, I preferred some of the weapons he had at his previous school than I do now. But yeah, he'll make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah. Let's just say the Iowa offense is not going to be the worst in the Big Ten this year. I think it might not even be bottom 5. Mark Gronowski should do
might be worse.
Yeah, or Northwestern, or Rutgers, depending on like Rutgers. Rutgers could be bad this year. So we are we're sticking up for Iowa just a little bit here, but we're not talking about offenses. We're talking about centers. Logan Jones deserves his flowers as a center. As Ryan says, he's been incredibly loyal to a program that's given very little in return to offensive players, and he is potentially one of the best centers going into this next draft cycle. They have a good year with Gronowski. His stock is going to go through the roof. So that is kind of tier 2 for me. That's the tier just below the top 2 guys. So, as I say, so far, if you've only just come in, so Jake Slaughter and Parker Brailsford are at the top. Jake Slaughter probably on his own by a distance. He's 1A. Parker Brailsford is 1B. You got Logan Jones from Iowa, Connor Liu from Auburn, and Yapani Lalulu from Oregon in the tier below. And then I've got 3 more in the tier below this. These are guys who have either had quite stop-start careers and they've not put together the resume to be able to put themselves in conversation a minute, but they clearly possess the talent. And one good year on 3 teams in this case, which could potentially be great, and again shoot their stock into the moon. Like these are the outside, maybe dark horse ones, and I'll start with the last one Ryan's got on here because I've got him as well. He intrigues the hell out of me, and I love the resilience this guy's shown in the face of getting dropped, dealing with a little bit of injury, and how well he's done on a team, and the chance he's taken on himself this year to go to a program and potentially launch himself into the stratosphere when it may have been safer for him to stay. But who have we got up next, Rye?
Pat Coogan, the Mr. Do-It-All. That's what I like to think of him. Like you say, the former Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and now the Indiana Hoosier. Another big guy, 6'5", 310. Like I say, he's got 27 collegiate starts, 1,522 snaps. Now, a long-term guard, but when the team needed him the most, Notre Dame, not when, like I said, they had an issue at centre, just 3 games in last season, He stepped in, he started the last 13 games at centre. Rest was history. Because what a run did they go on. Like you say, he was absolutely fantastic. He paved the way for Ryan Leonard and Jeremiah Love. And as you mentioned, it would have been so easy for him to stay here, like I say, Notre Dame this year, because we think Jeremiah Love could win the Heisman. And like I say, he could have been the guy that leads the way for him and would have got a lot of draft cycle. But no, like you say, he got call, packed his bags, and then, like I say, Kirk Signetti calls, apparently you must answer. And Kirk Signetti has gone on record saying no one's guaranteed a position in this football team. Like Pat Coogan he's definitely replacing your centre. This guy, like I say, has played both guards in his career. Like I say, in 2023, he started all 13 games at Notre Dame. Like I say, it was only when he was called upon. Like I said, can you kick inside? Can you snap? He learned the short noise. That tells me, does his homework. He watches a lot of tape. He's clearly been practicing to snap the football most of his life and playing. He knew that position inside out before he was even asked to play it at such a high level. When he stepped in, went a long playoff run. So, yeah, he was a Joe Moore Award semi-finalist last year, but that's like as a whole unit. Collectively, he made that unit one of the best ones in the nation. His hands and his power and his strength are where it excels. That run, gap, downhill, get to the next level kind of offense that they were running is where he excels. Like I say, he is nasty going forward. He is a mauler. He's very powerful. He's vicious. He's able to create that pop, which gives him a bit of vertical separation moving down. I think this guy is incredibly underrated for a guy that he could well be, like, say, a proper late D3 pick, but he could actually come in here, like, say, a team that the Hoosiers are on the up right now, like I said. There's a lot of good vibes right now, and they've gone out there and got the best, most experienced guys out there to bring in and try to help Kirk, which could put him on national radars more than it could have been in staying in South Bend. They'll look at him and be like, grass ain't always greener, don't move, we're going to pay attention to see how he does. But I think he's an absolutely fantastic addition to a Hoosiers line. Like I say, he's proved already that he's got incredibly good metal. Like I say, left guard, right guard, can instantly play at centre. He feels a guy that I want to see you put him at centre straight away. Like I say, I want it to be his natural position. Like I say, don't put him out, don't move him if you don't have to. Let him just play there. He's got the frame, he's got the build, vastly experienced. Like I say, he helps their run game so much last year, and he should be a great asset. He should be one of the best portal additions this season that can make an immediate impact on a team that is looking to replicate what such a strong season it had last year. So yeah, this is a guy I'm watching for the draft next year because he just offers one guy. One thing that I haven't talked about is versatility. Like, so this guy can start at guard and centre and be equally as effective, then that's a triple threat right there, and that makes him very highly coveted next year straight away.
And who makes NFL linemen ready better than Notre Dame, right? Like, it's the school of technique, it's the school of versatility.
We talked about it for years. Well, that was a mistake.
Yeah. Well,
like I said, you'll never know.
Well, there's a story behind it, actually. So, as you mentioned, he played a bit of right guard in his freshman year. The second year, he played at left guard for the entire year. Had a good year, considering it was the first starter. The rumour was last year that he got beaten out in camp by, I think it was Sam Pendleton, their left guard last year. They dropped him for no particular reason. He went to play with the second team as the centre, like trying to fight his way back onto the team. And then obviously Ashton Craig got hurt really early on last year. He comes into the team.
The Notre Dame centre.
Yeah. What he's done is he's fought his way back into the team after being dropped at a different position. Comes in, is part of that line that sends them all the way to the Natty title game. And remember, I think Anthony Knapp got hurt, right? The left tackle never even saw the field that year. That Charles Jagusa. Never even saw the field. The backup left tackle got hurt on a line that was getting chopped and changed and injured all over the place. He was like the one permanent fixture there as a reserve. Comes into a brand new position and absolutely nails it out the park. And the thing is, Ashton Craig was healthy this year. So he's basically turned around to Notre Dame and go, right, you let me down. Fuck you. I'm gone. I'm going to go to Kurt Signetti where I'm appreciated. Because if you're going to drop him once, they could have dropped him again this year, and this is potentially his last year in college. So I love the balls he's had to go, you know what, I'm going to go to Indiana, because Indiana are the small school, right, next to Notre Dame. They're technically rivals, got their ass kicked by them last year. Obviously, he's played against them, got a lot of respect for Signetti on that team, and has decided that's where I want to go play.
It's going to be personal for him this year.
Yeah, absolutely personal. And you're blocking for Fernando Mendoza, potentially, who's going to have a really good year.
Right.
Exactly. So I love his resilience, the fact that he got dropped, learned a new position, came into the team and absolutely killed it, and then had the, had the bravado to say to his team, look, you messed me over, I've worked hard, now I'm going to do me, and I'm going. So out of all these guys, I'm really rooting for him this year. And again, we'll watch Indiana a lot. So, yeah, Pat Coogan at Indiana, the centre there, I hope he has a year and kills it. And I believe they play Notre Dame again, possibly. So I hope he helps kick their ass when they play one another. In terms of other centres on this list, so we've got two more now here. We've got Sheridan Wilson. He is the Texas Tech centre coming into this year. Now, he was a first-time starter for them last season. He is 6'3", about 305 pounds. Absolutely killed it last year when it came to the pass protection side of thing, on a team where Baron Morton was flinging this thing all over the place. And it would be very easy to give up sacks when you've got a quarterback who throws a lot. He didn't give up a single sack last year. One of the best pass protecting guys out there. And of course, he's on a team this year which is going to be right under scrutiny because of the amount of money they've spent there. But in his first year as a starter, over 1,000 snaps, 88 pass block rating for him by PFF, as they gave up 0 sacks. The run blocking is still to come. Sorry, he's 6'5", 300, so another taller guy. Obviously, you had Taj Brooks, who ran for days there last year, but it's going to take time for you to work out your technique at 6'5". Obviously, being taller can be a detriment there, but he's going to be in a team where they're going to be expected to win the Big 12. He is another big, he's like Jake Slaughter size. You can get that running back room going this year. They've gotten two of the best out of the portal, potentially. They have got receivers for days. They've got edges. They've got everything there. I think, this could be a team, right, where you can accelerate your stock big this year. But for a guy who's just a one-year starter, maybe this year might not be his year, but you have a year, win the Big 12, it's your third year. Sheridan Wilson could be one of those guys, again, at 6'5". You can maybe move him around in the NFL a bit, but, a lot to be had for this Texas Tech team this year.
Oh, yeah. Like I say, they're my team to watch. They are the team to watch this year, purely because, like I say, the off-season pad's crazy. Everyone's talking about them. Like I say, whether you like them or whether you hate them, like I say, whether you think they're trying to ruin football by just throwing money at it, usually it works. But like I say, a talented core of players, and they've gone out there, used money wisely as well. They've gone out there and got the right players to make them. Yeah, this guy, I'd say, still very young, learning his trade. Like I say, it won't be a year where you come out, but he has got a chance to get some huge momentum. Like I say, if they do go on and make the Big 12 and they can make at least have a really good competitive college playoff game, like I say, he can put that in his resume, people will start to look at him. Like I say, he's working with one of the better QBs in the nation, in my opinion. So that coaching staff there as well is very good. Lubbock's always had a good coaching staff with the Red Raiders, whether they've gone and got guys from outside or they've worked inside. So this kid's got a lot to learn, but like I say, he's got good foundations, big frame, definitely a name to watch going forward in the future. It could become a household name if that team can live up to, like I say, what it's promising on paper anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm thinking there. Like, the national screen might get him more time there. And then the other one he's had a stop-start career, started off at Alabama 2 years, didn't see nothing. You'll know him, right, because he blocked for Josh Hoover last year.
I was going to pick JB.
Yeah, so James Brockermeyer, really, really intriguing, again, because of his pedigree coming into college. Didn't quite work out, but he's had 1 year as a starter. And my God, it was a good year. Josh Hoover broke all sorts of records last year and threw for absolute days. 81 pass blocking grade, gave up 1 sack on this. He just had 1 nightmare game against Baylor when it all came crashing down for him. But apart from that, he was nigh on flawless on the year. Only graded 67 in the run game, but again, didn't have the best running game in TCU last year. Yeah, they were a bit one-dimensional, so it's tough for you to kind of show that aspect of you, but he showed the undeniable talent. First year as a starter, looked absolutely immaculate. He's transferred to Miami of Florida this year, the Hurricanes, and as we saw last year with Cam Ward and all their draft prospects, that is a huge spotlight to get into, and there's genuine aspirations for that team again this year. Cristobal has relit that fire there. The expectations are back. Obviously, you've got Carson Beck, who's going to be there, new QB coming in. This is kind of maybe the redemption place to SEC guys who didn't work out there. They're looking for their redemption story at a team with a lot of expectation. But Brockenmeyer, he's another who's, like, the size is there for him. 6'3", 320, I think, maybe lightening down a bit. But he's certainly got the skill, and now you have one good year here, that could completely resurrect your draft stock.
Yeah, he's a kid, like I say, that's got tons of pedigree, good recruit, brought into a huge school. Like I say, there's a mixed bag, like I say, Bam, like I say, and when I remember when thinking, like I say, yeah, good decision to hit the portal. Like you say, you kind of need to find somewhat of a bounce back year. It felt like TCU would always have been a stepping stone after their post national title game, like I say, and I'm not surprised that he did in the portal. But like I say, for as good as the pass pro was, he's never going to get better at the run game, not at someone like the Home Frogs, not like I say. And I love, like I say, Kendall Briles. I love the offense, everyone likes everything, but it doesn't always showcase the best of an offensive lineman's capabilities when basically you're dropping back every snap. And last year was a bit air raided. Like you say, you're not going to improve in all facets, so it does not surprise me at all if you get the option to move to a big school, to a school, like I said, that's got a good amount of pressure under it, a big fan base, but also it's probably going to be more equally balanced. Like I said, they're going to want to run the ball, just probably even more to take pressure off someone like Carson Beck. So for him, like I say, it will be his last stop. It will show to him, like I said, that he's done it at all levels, all conferences. Kind of guy that, he's proving that he's not going to be an afterthought in this class and that he still wants to make a name for himself. Like I say, he's been around the block, like I say, that he can still do it at the next level in some facet. Like I say, kind of guy that's just wants someone to take a chance on him next year, just gamble on him. Just put him on your roster and at least keep him round. So yeah, hopefully he has a good year. And like I said, the Hurricanes are able to run the ball. So I know he can pass block. Yeah. He can ball, like I said. I want to see him, like I say, get stuck in the run game.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's your potential outsiders list there. You got James Brockenmeyer at Miami of Florida, Sheridan Wilson at Texas Tech, and Pat Coogan at Indiana. And then the final tier list I've got here, they're either group of 5 guys or group of 5 guys who have transferred to a power program who are going to get a chance to show themselves on a bigger stage and potentially could make some waves depending on what's going on. And I'm going to delight Brent here. And we're going to start with the Army Center this year. One of the best, probably best run blocking center in the entirety of college football last year. Makes sense because they're a triple option team. But Brady Small is a guy who needs attention going into this year. So Ryan's already mentioned the Joe Moore Award this evening. That goes to the best offensive line unit in the country. Army won that award last year. The first time ever a group of 5 team has won that award. Usually it goes to Power 5 schools. It is not reserved for the group of 5 whatsoever. Army having an historic season, winning the American, and it starts with their mini-me in the middle. He's only 6 foot, but he's 320 pounds, and you will not find a better run blocker at centre in college football. This is a guy who will, again, he'll kick your ass. You saw how fluidly that Army team worked last year. Again, it's not just running through the tackles anymore. There is a pass. There is more pass-heavy options to this team, so he's given up 1 sack in his career, although it's only like 250 pass blocking snaps, but it's still decent. But in terms of a centre who is going to run through you, especially in the option offense, you've got to be even cleverer, to try and work your way through, because your offense is so limited as to what you're doing, so you've really got to hone your craft well, because it is your only option. But Brady Small, small by name, small by nature, Ryan, but will kick your ass better than anybody when it comes to centre play in college.
Yeah, and good thing about him is, like I say, as the program has changed and realised that old kind of dinosaur football doesn't work, they've asked him to do more things. The playbook's got bigger. He's had to watch more tape. He's had to change his game. Like I say, it ain't smash mouth, it ain't double wing. 2 free running backs, 2 tight ends, just running a triangle. Like I say, that don't cut it anymore. like I say, they had to be smarter about how they work. Like I say, more pass players, more jet sweeps, more motions, more moving pieces, more guys pulling than just hand the ball off, make the hole, take it to the house. So yeah, he's probably grown more than most people have named on the list purely because the program in his time there has changed. And yeah, like I say, it's a prestigious award to win. Like I say, it shows a lot about all of them. It's an equally, like I say, it starts with him, but like I say, how his relationship and how he's helped the other guys around him. Like I say, it's credit to all of them. So he's another name to watch. That's what I say, because you know he can do the dirty stuff. He can do the basics well. He just needs to learn the more intricate side of the game, probably at the next level. That's probably the easiest stuff to teach him. Like getting a
Absolutely.
guy that is fundamentally sound with a high floor.
Exactly. So, and if these service players have shown they can come into the NFL and make a contribution. I think, you're starting to shift opinions towards them now, and the teams themselves are getting better, as we saw last year. We had a conference champion last year who was a service team, and Navy looked pretty good, and Navy are expected to win the American this year if the odds are to be believed. Sorry, Brent, that is the bookmakers, not me. But, let's say no to that. But yeah, Brady Small at Army is one to look at. The most intriguing in this category, however, I had to look around hard and deep for this one. Another Brady. We're talking about Brady Wilson now. He's going to be the Virginia Cavaliers center this year. So he's playing in the Power 5 for the first time. So he has been the center at UAB for the last 3 years. Now, what is intriguing to this, Trent Dilfer has ruined that program into the ground, but you've got to look at what's happened on the offense in his time there. He has been center for the Dwayne McBride record-breaking season rushing on the ground from about 3 years ago. 2 years ago, he was in town for when Jacob Zeno had that record-setting aerial bombardment at quarterback position. So you have run two offenses which have been vastly different in the way they've played. You have had a record-setting running back, a record-setting quarterback, and whilst those UAB teams haven't been so good on the wins column, they have been good with their offense, right? That is the one thing they've got right. But a guy who's able to do that, quarterback, two different styles of offense, coming up to Virginia, who, a program down on its luck and that, but you've got a good young quarterback there, potentially a bounce back year in the ACC, so you've got a potential to get to the playoffs if things go right there. But Brady Small, this could be one of those where he comes completely out of left field just because he's been out of sight, but he's now at a program where he can do his damage.
Yeah, it's a program, as you say, is in a weird place right now. Like I say, the last couple of years have not been kind to them. And in the ACC, they have lost a lot of ground. They're a team that is trying to work its way back up. And yeah, UAB were a funny team where, like I say, the way they played did rack up yards, but it just did not result in good win-loss records. And that was for a multitude of things. Like I say, so going out there, and yeah, for him, basically getting a promotion, like I say, it's a promotion. Like I say, he's earned it. They've recognised that he was a key part of what they were trying to do over there. And like I say, we need to bolster our experience line with experience. We need to get guys in that have seen multiple style systems, and we need to improve and get better there if we're going to turn these fortunes around. So he's got a great opportunity to be part of, like I say, maybe them turning a corner this year. ACC behind Clemson. I think it's going to be a minefield. And that will work in a case for someone like a Virginia that can go out there and they can spoil someone's party. Like I say, they ain't going to be that competitive, but they will be difficult to play against. And then he can then, like say, make that transition from a G5 to a Power 4. See how he does. Like say, if he does, like say, go well and adjust the next level well, then going forward, like he will get a lot more recognition, and people will start to just talk about him a little bit more in those kind of conversations. So for him, that's a really good move.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, look for Brady Wilson at Virginia. And then the last one on our list together, finishing this off, this is a career group of 5 guy, but he's coming from a group of 5 school that can put talent in the NFL. Started off at Abilene Christian, spent 2 years at New Mexico, spent last year at UTSA, where he will be this year. CJ James Jr., 6'3", 310 pounds, and out of everyone here, he might be the most likable of them all. You listen to him talk and the way he goes on about the game. He's just got such an infectious personality about him, but graded near on 80 last year in pass protection for UTSA, including against Texas. 34 pass blocking steps against that line that had Alfred Collins and all that talent on it. He did not surrender a single pressure all game when they were fighting from behind as well. So he's done it against good level opposition, but 3,102 snaps. We talk about experience and about coming into the NFL with experience as a centre. He's been a career centre pretty much. 2,987 snaps there, 114 at right guard. But again, we talk about the type of player. The UTSA, the Roadrunners, love to run their football down the throat, as their name implies, and they've put talent in there in recent years. You think their last two centres, I believe, are currently in the NFL on rosters, and you've seen a whole bunch of their players since here. McCormack's in the NFL. This is a team that can pump out great numbers, and if they can win the American this year, for him, it's going to be a great opportunity as probably a day 3 guy. He may be looking in undrafted territory, but he's played in the FCS, had done great. He's played at New Mexico, one of the worst teams traditionally in the group of 5, and he succeeded and got UTSA to part with him last year, and he's durable. He has not missed any time whatsoever. Penalties are a little bit of an issue with him, 23 in the last 2 years, so that needs to be worked out. I think there's a few false start penalties, etc. there, but his all-round game, his run blocking, his pass blocking are both on par with one another. And again, this is coaching that will get him into an NFL team. And at 6'3", 310, he's got the frame. He's very athletic as well, which is one of the great things about him. So in terms of an all-round centre at the level, he's one to look out for. And these guys make it. Sincere Haynesworth made it a couple of years ago. What was it, last year? It was recent anyhow. You do not, say no to these guys. And UTSA have got some big schools on their schedule this year. So just keep an eye out for him. He's going to be there. CJ James Jr. at UTSA. Another one of these heavy run maulers, these tough as nuts group of 5 guys. He will not get told no. And he's had to work his way up the hard way right from the very bottom. So that is that in terms of our centre segment. So as I say, I'll quickly go through them again. We tiered them in terms of the top 2 so far. Jake Slaughter's up there, the Florida centre, on a pedestal on his own at the minute. But Parker Brailsford, also a guy you'll hear about a lot to start with. You've got the little tier afterwards. So you've got Logan Jones from Iowa. You've got Connor Liu from Auburn. You've got Yapani Lalulu from Oregon. And then, of course, we have the Kansas centre as well, Bryce Foster. Got the tier after that where, one good season. If that translates into 2, then they could really shoot their rocket to the moon. James Brockenmeyer from Miami of Florida, Sheridan Wilson from Texas Tech, and Pat Coogan at Indiana, who we love. Go check Pat Coogan out, actually. He is known for his pre-game speeches. They're on YouTube. You'll love the guy instantly. And then we've got the group of 5 guys, or group of 5 guys now come into the Power 5, who absolutely could get themselves drafted. Brady Wilson at Virginia, CJ James Jr. at UTSA, and Brady Small at Army. I think just to, put a little bow on this, right? I'm very excited to see the centre class this year. I know not a lot of podcasts and that'll say it, but we love the small school. We love the little guys. We love, putting forward the candle for these guys. We will fight the good fight for them. But I just think naturally there's a lot of talent here, and there's a lot to be excited about this year. And I could see 2 guys in the first round. I could see 4 or 5 guys in the top couple of days if everything goes right.
Yeah, like I say, it's last couple of years in the NFL draft haven't been overly kind to centres.
No.
So we've seen who was the guy? So we saw Jackson Powers Johnson. Who's the guy? Barton.
Graham Barton, who was technically, he was a little bit of both.
Walking point centre as rookie, and they have struggled, but they were the only kind of guys that even got any look whatsoever. Like I say, and they were kind of like say they have struggled. Like I say, it is a position where you expect to struggle, but yeah, we haven't seen a super deep class where true centres you just don't hear many calls usually in the draft. Like I said, it's just like almost like kickers. Like I say, you just don't have many drafted, like I say, because a lot of teams assume, a lot of them will just go and draft it, but scoop them up there and then. And you will, but a lot of these guys with credible cases to have their name called if you want them, you're going to have to take them. There's no good trying to scrap for them later and get them to come to you.
No, absolutely. And again, look at some of the teams this guys are on. You look at your Auburns, your Indianas, guys like this, your Floridas. These teams have good years. Conversely, it's probably going to come through that centre play as well. and you're going to hear more and more about them. So hopefully you've got the scoop on some of these guys, and there's some more of them that you're going to follow going into this year. Mile marker earlier went, can we assume Holmes has his team already scouting some of these guys for the next draft? Probably. He's probably got them all done already. Brad knows more than...
Frank were going to do it a while ago, so I reckon.
Brad knows more than we do. I think there is a contingency in place if Graham plays centre this year, because regardless, this is going to be Graham's last year in Detroit, regardless, whether he plays centre or not. And even if, Ratledge doesn't have a good year this year at centre and you want to move him back, you can draft one next year. So I still think there's plenty of scenarios where a centre could come to Detroit next year with a day 1 or a day 2 pick. And as hopefully we've argued for the last couple of hours, there are a lot of guys who fit that credibility out there. So yeah, we're all good. Mile marker goes, well done guys, I was really into this topic, think it's freaking important for the Lions to consider next year. Yeah, I do as well. And if anything, it's giving love to a position that doesn't get a lot of love there. So watch out for some of these guys. They're going to have great seasons. Right, if there's anything else you want to ask us before we get out of here, because that was the main topic we had today. So, get those questions in. We'll stay around and chat for a little bit more, and then we'll get ourselves out of here. Brent DeWitt goes, Auburn's record prediction. Right, give me a moment. I'm going to get Auburn's schedule up this year, Ryan. We'll come up with an initial prediction for them. I can't remember what it is off the hand, so just give me one moment. Because we are really talking them up this year, so they're probably going to be one of those teams who we're going to live and die by what we think about them. Where are we at? 2025 schedule for Auburn. Go away, don't want you. So, the non-cons. We start at Baylor, versus Ball State, versus South Alabama, and versus Mercer. So the non-cons, Baylor, Ball State, South Alabama, Mercer. I can see at worst 3-1 there. I think Baylor might be the problem team.
Baylor will be trippy on you. It's 3-1 off R&R.
So I think we can do 3-1 out of that. So let's just say 3-1 as a general thing there. So your SEC record at Oklahoma. Oh, that'll be interesting. Jackson Arnold revenge game. I think that could be a win. Okay, let's say 4-1. At Texas A&M. Feels like...
trouble.
I think my initial thing was lose there. Shall we say lose? So that's 4-2. Versus Georgia. 4-3.
Yeah.
Versus okay. Versus Missouri at home. I think that could be a win.
That should be an interesting one. Like say, yeah.
That's going to be the standard. They're going to. That Missouri team's lost a lot. I'm going to say win there. Are you in agreement?
Yeah.
So we'll go 5-3 with a Missouri win at Arkansas. I feel like that is a standard bearer you've got to win as well. Taylor Green is great, but Arkansas are not at the minute. Can we say win there, or are we not sure? Okay, we'll say win. 6-3 versus Kentucky.
Oh, win.
7-3. I don't like this. This is going to get thrown right back at us. At Vanderbilt.
That's going to be.
So we're 7-3 and you're at Vanderbilt. Now Eli Stowers is getting top 20 looks in the NFL draft, and of course Pavia's there. Is Vanderbilt's success sustainable? It's late in the season enough that the wheels could have fallen off for Vanderbilt at this point. What are we saying? So we're at 7-3 right now, so we're really digging a hole for ourselves. What are we?
I say Vanderbilt win.
Alright, we'll say a loss at Vanderbilt, 7-4. And then, obviously, they've got the Iron Bowl. They're at home to Alabama. Last game of the year. I would assume that will be a loss. I feel Alabama are going to be better this year.
I assume so, yeah.
So, loss. 7-5. So we're saying about 7-5, we reckon, for the Auburn record prediction this year. I'm happy with that. I don't think there's any games that I would necessarily... No. Are we settled? Right, there you go. 7-5.
What did they go last year?
6. I think they won 6 last year. They win 6. In fact, actually, 7 feels light. If we're really bigging them up to be the team with... It's the defense.
They beat Texas A&M.
Okay, so we're going to go 8-4.
But 8-4.
We're going to go 8-4. And that's with a loss at Baylor, which could be 1, so it could be 9. Right, we're going to conservatively say 8-4 for Auburn this year.
That's the flaw.
Yeah.
I think the ceiling there is like 9.
Oh no, I think the floor is like 2. It could just completely fall out, and Hugh Freeze could be fired by October. But we prefer to be positive on here.
Ceiling is 10 wins and they'll lose to Georgia and Alabama.
I mean, yeah, that could be great. Well, you've got your material there, Brent. Snap it. We say 8 wins for Auburn this year. That's where we're at. Marmarker goes, I was sorry to hear about the Liverpool player and brother. Yeah, Diego Jota. What a horrible thing. 28 years old as well. 7 years younger than me. I know that will have hit Matt hard. Obviously been a Liverpool player as well. He knows him very well. But I know him from his time at Wolves. Yeah, he's really, really sad. So you just never know. So you've got to enjoy life every single day at a time, because you never know when the card will be called. Any other questions knocking around, guys? Let us know. I will go through the upcoming stuff while we're here if we get any more in. So obviously, next show's coming up. The main podcast will be back on Monday, the 7th of July. Not entirely sure what we're doing yet, so we'll see. And then obviously me and Ryan will be back next week, hopefully on the Wednesday. I think so. I think I'm working early, which is the 9th of July, again, to be decided. If there's anything you want us to do as we go on, then let us know. Perry Ball decided the topic of the day is by asking us to do centres. So if you want more positional breakdowns, just let us know what position you're into, just as long as it's not doing a preview about Michigan. Can't do that. You can't make me do that. So yeah, that's everything that's coming up. I'm sorry there's not more clarity on it, but yeah, we'll see. It's just a quiet part of the year at the minute where it's hard to come up with little bits and bobs. Is there anything else you want to talk about quickly, college ball wise, before we get out of here? Right? I don't think we've missed too much really, but anything else you want to get off your chest?
I know I've seen the announcement for this new DSA portal, but I need to look into it.
Oh, is that the whole Wisconsin thing I was reading about? Is it? I don't know.
They're creating like a reserve list where you can like transfer list players.
Oh, we suggested this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say they listened to us.
I think it's going to be a one poll. I think that's the thing. Like I said, but yeah, I need to read into it.
Right. Breaking news: the NCAA have ripped off Roar of the Lions UK there, because we said there should be a transfer list at some point where you can put the players on.
With the coaches and you go on to be contacted.
Yeah, the coach can put them on there if he doesn't want them, and then a player can move. Then a player has a right to move. They're ripping us off.
I think it's going to come into next year, but I need to read into it. Yeah, how about like the dates and if it replaces the spring window or if it's just one window? I'm not sure.
Well, we'll see. We'll let you know about the DSA window, but that is an idea they've ripped off us. We're fully taking credit for that one there. Brent DeWitt goes, July the 4th is also Philippines-American Friendship Day, honouring us for helping liberate them from Japan. It is. Forgive us if we don't wish you a happy 4th over there, but we were on the losing side of that, so of course we're not going to do that. So just enjoy your day, have lots of beer, have lots of food, but we ain't going to say those words because, still raw 260 odd years later. Marker goes, one pride worldwide, you called it. We did. I think it's a sensible decision. If a player is not wanted by his head coach, give him the opportunity to move. That would be a sensible portal. If he's wanted by his coach, he can't go anywhere. That stops talent being poached in spring and when depth has been established and that, because it just favours big teams. So, yeah, if a coach wants to put him on, fine. Other than that, no. Keep it to the main portal there. Right. I think that's just about everything. We're going to get out of here and enjoy the rest of our evening. So thank you, Mile Marker. Thank you, Brent. Thank you for keeping us company this evening with your questions. Hope you enjoyed our centre prospect previews. And yeah, we'll see you again next week for the same. And just put it in the comments. Anything you want us to do, of course, we will do it for you. So yeah, take care all. Hope you are all well. And we shall see you again very soon. Au revoir.